we have to have inspiration in the classrooms that comes from the photos and the conversation. We have to help these students to get into medical school, and then we have to take into consideration the cultural literacy these children are being exposed to.
Mm-hmm. I'm Andre, and this is the Speak Your Life podcast, where we talk about everything as it relates to education, careers, values, mentors, and anything to do with purpose. We do this one impactful conversation at a time, whether it's solo dolo with yours truly or our amazing guests to share stories, industry insights, encouraging words, and calls to action that can help you get closer to your why. Become a part of the Speak Your Life community by subscribing today to the podcast and following us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Speak Your LYFE, because life without your why is meaningless. All right, so we are helping you to find your why, one impactful conversation at a time. And we usually highlight professionals that are bringing tremendous value to people amongst their communities. But today marks the first official segment of Speak Your Life Campus Conversations. We are carrying conversations or highlighting students making big strides or impacts in their community. Today's guests are from Bay St. Louis, and Mississippi and Lake Charles, Louisiana. They come from Xavier and Southern University with biology degrees, now are second-year medical students at Tulane University. These two, along with their other 13 classmates, have been recently recognized from their picture that's really gone viral, and it's been featured on various platforms like USA Today, CNN, NPR, standing in front of the Whitney Plantation House with the caption, "We are our ancestors' wildest dreams." Please welcome Russell and Sydney. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah. So before we all get started, man, like first of all, I flew in from New Jersey for this, and it's just like so cold. It's cold as hell over there, and it's like it's like making me sweat out here. 62 degrees. Yeah. I'm like I need to. They said it's crawfish season.
Yeah.
I need to get.
Yeah.
I need to get my crawfish on. So yeah. So y'all have any recommendations for anybody that's in town whenever they come through New Orleans?
Yeah, Dickie Chase. It's a famous spot. Been around. All the presidents have been there. Historic spot. There were civil rights meetings there.
Oh yeah.
And Lil Dizzy's.
Yeah.
Dizzy's is also a staple in New Orleans.
Wow.
For sure, get you some king cake.
Yeah.
My personal favorite is the Randazzo's version. I love it so much. So if you got time to do that, definitely go get you some king cake. And we can't, it wouldn't be right if we didn't recommend you taking a trip out to Whitney Plantation if you had a second. So,
okay.
For sure.
Okay. Was it about like an hour from here?
About 45 minutes.
45 minutes? Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So, behind the white coats, who is Russell and who is Sydney?
So I guess I'll start. Like I said before, I'm Sydney. I'm from a small town called Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. I'm one of two. I have a little brother that gets on my nerves in every way, shape, or form. And I guess behind the white coats, just an interesting story about me. I actually didn't want to go into medicine for a really long time. I was very set on growing up that I'm gonna be a lawyer. I'm gonna be multilingual. Yeah. I'm gonna work at a U.S. embassy somewhere overseas. And I tore my ACL like my senior year in high school. Yeah. It was the most horrific experience, but man. I actually got really super involved in the process, and my surgeon was the dopest guy in the world, and he let me actually shadow him once I started college, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go to med school. Wow. And everyone in my life was like, what? You've never shown any interest in being a doctor ever. Yeah. So yeah, my route was a little funky, but I always say if you want to make God laugh, tell him you got a plan, and that's exactly what he did. Okay, he was chuckling at
that's
me.
Right.
So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay, cool. And what about you, Russell?
I think it's safe to say that I think behind the white coat, I'm just a dad's dad. Like I'm just a dad.
Yeah.
I have two beautiful little girls, Malia and Melina. Mm-hmm. I think I spend most of my waking moments trying to entertain them.
Yeah.
It's usually the other way around. And then other than that, I'm just a husband, man. I'm a husband. I spend time with my wife. I've been with her. We make 14 years this year, 14 or 15.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just an activist. I think the future is bright for children who look like I did when I was a kid. Yeah. Because people like us are in a place to make an impact, and we understand where they are, who they are, and what they mean to our future, and we love them. So we gonna spend a lot of sleepless nights making sure that the future is brighter for them.
Yeah, that's so important because there's so many people that go into different professions, whether it be a lawyer, doctor, or whatever, engineer, and you never know what somebody's intention is. You don't know if their parents were saying, hey, we want you to do this, we've trained you all your life to be an engineer or doctor or whatever like that. Then you have other people who, like yourselves, have this intention, have this heart behind it, that it's not just about, how much money can I make, or what's my status as a doctor in this white coat, but how can I actually make a difference in these kids' lives and these people's lives beyond myself. So I really respect that about you guys, and I really like and admire that. So that's what's up. That's what's up. So, and that's why, man, and that's why when I saw you guys and I saw the picture on LinkedIn, I was like, man, I gotta have them on the show, man. That's so cool. Like, just to see that, I was like that, and I told you in that direct message, I said that is pure Black excellence right there. And so this is perfect because this is. It's just, young Black people just getting together, standing united as one, and just showing the world that, we're valuable. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams, because we are doing amazing things, and this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning, so more to come. So I love that. I love that. So Russell, I know that most kids out there are asking for their asking their parents for like candy, or like, can I play games on the iPad? But your daughter, she suggested that you guys do something cool like this. Take this picture. I heard.
Yeah, well, I mean, so it's the way it happened was so that summer, one of my best friends who's getting his PhD up at NYU came to visit me. Yeah. And when he came, he and I, we kind of wanted to do our own little exploration of Whitney Plantation, and we both are very adept on, on history. And so we took that trip, and my daughter was in tennis camp that summer, but I opted for her to not go to tennis camp that day and spend the day with us and take that trip. Yeah. And so, on our way back from the experience, she made a comment to me. She's like, Dad, I didn't realize it then, but being a Black doctor in America is a big deal. Yeah. And I was like, that's interesting. Like, what made you say that? Like, why'd you say that? And she was like, well, if you think about it, we just left a slave plantation, like where people were being beaten and all kind of other bad stuff, and just look at you and Uncle Phil now, like look at y'all, So and I turned to Phil and I was like, Phil, bro, I think my classmates need to see this. Yeah. And so of course the next thing I did was reached out to my road dog, Sydney and Jasmine Taylor, Rachel, and a couple others, Gabby, and Kristen Brown, and they were like, yeah, we need to do this. Like, we need to do this. So I sent out an email, and I told them in the email, like, look, we gonna have this experience. We will remember, from where we once came, and how far we've come, and we gonna take an iconic photo, literally verbatim. Yeah. In the email it said, like, we will take an iconic photo. Wow. And we did. I mean, I thought we were just gonna take an iconic photo. Yeah. And turn into a couple iconic photos.
The fist in the air. Yeah. That was my personal favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I think, I was in the elevator yesterday, and one of my classmates said, you all really capitalized on the notoriety to make a difference. And I think a lot of times you need notoriety in order to make a difference, because that'll give you means, right, to get the job done. And I think that's where we are now, where we have influence and we have a platform, and we better use it properly, because one, we have elders who are watching us and holding the fire to our feet to make sure we do it the right way and recognize people, the giants before us. Yeah. And also we have ancestors who will spiritually hold us up. They gonna make sure that we are strong enough to fight whatever fight we're fighting right now. So that's kind of what it is. But I don't think it would have necessarily been sparked without Malia just putting it into perspective. Like that, like, do you not know? Like, this is a big deal. Yeah.
The attitude behind that. She's like, don't you know?
Actually, I think
That's funny. Man, it's just, it's just interesting to see how children they have such great imaginations, and how they can spark something big, and it's just like they take that little thing and it grows into something that you never would have expected. So and that's cool that you guys spoke that into existence on that email. So I like that. And Sydney, how does it feel to be repping Xavier? To many people don't know, it's actually one of the top producers of Black medical students. How does it feel?
Absolutely, that's a duty. Like,
yeah.
At this point, once you make it through Xavier, you have to go hard for Xavier, right? Because Xavier went hard for us. So, people don't realize, the reason why we're one of the top producers of Black students, Black medical students, or students who go on to be doctors in the nation, is because we have such a support system. Like, when I tell you Miss QV, everyone on campus knows Miss QV, all right? So she's in charge of the pre-med office. She sends you emails constantly. She's checking in on you constantly. And, quite honestly, I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I'm supposed to be doing if I didn't put on for Xavier, okay? Yeah. So, they have fostered such a confidence in me, too. And I think that's something to be said for HBCU culture in general. Yeah. That just being in that space and being in a space where you can be academically excellent, you can be fun, you can be Black, you can wear your hair how you want, and that does not take anything away from you. And it does not take, I can go in the yard and hit my two-step with, the chicken that they had on the yard, and I can still go to biology class and still ace that right after, you know what I mean? Right. And it's just a space, and it's an oasis. I always say that every Black student should experience, at least for a semester, because it just makes you so sure of yourself. It makes you so confident. It makes you know that I can move through this world and be successful and intelligent and unapologetically Black at all the same time. And that is not impossible. And it's an experience I will forever be grateful for. So shout out to XU for real.
Hey, there we go. And with this whole picture and everything like that, what are some reactions that y'all gotten? Whether it be good, bad, ugly, what are some reactions that y'all had that that stand out the most?
I think you listed out pretty much the categories of it: good, bad, and ugly. They fall underneath. I think, and that was one thing too I wanted to bring up when you said we were standing there in a very unifying way. Well, I think this picture also brought to light how not unified the Black community is in a lot of ways, just from the negativity from some of the things we got. I think one of the comments that really stood out to me the most is do they know that our ancestors were kings and queens and not just slaves? And I'm like, all right, so considering that everyone in this picture is college educated and then some, we got a few doctors in this picture already. I'm pretty sure they are well educated on exactly where our ancestors came from. When you talk about kings and queens and all of these things that they were in the homeland, that makes complete sense. But the point of the photo is to make people uncomfortable, because Americans don't talk about slavery, right? That's such a topic that is shied against. And then we're like, we're not going to talk about it. No, we are going to talk about it, because this is a problem. It's a problem that we don't talk about it. So us standing in front of that slave quarters, the cabin, all of that, it was so critical to get the message across. So to all those people who are like, don't they know, y'all, but this is something that we need to address right now, for sure.
I think what this has taught me is, I don't know if it's so much what people's responses have been as much as it is what we do. Right? So if people are responding, it means that it's struck a nerve. Whether that's a great, a good nerve and they're happy about it, or, a sad nerve and they're sad about it, or they're upset about it, or whatever. We've struck a nerve, and there's a conversation being had that we can utilize as an opportunity for us to do really impactful work for vulnerable people. Right. So like I said, I'm the father of two little Black girls that now we're raising in the South, and having all this knowledge, makes it more painful, because you're like, I can see the unequal treatment there happening to my little girls, who I thought with all this education I'd be able to protect. That's not going to do it, which means that I need to teach them how to combat it, and I also need to teach them how to survive it. But we also need to make sure that little girls and little boys that look like us know that at some point you will be the influencer. Mm-hmm. In order for you to be that influencer, one, you have to see what you want to be, right? Because you're going to grow up, majority of what you see in terms of examples and things of that nature, they will not look like you. They will not. And so you're going to grow up thinking, where do I fit into this world? Mm-hmm. So we got to change that, right? That's I think that's the component of the 15 White Coats, where we're reimagining cultural imagery, mm-hmm. right? Like, we have to be appropriate in what we want our children to see, what we have our children see, so that they can imagine, you know, being a black superhero on TV, or mm-hmm. being a black, you know, podcast host, or, you mm-hmm. know, being a black movie star, or, you know, being a black doctor, or being a black lawyer, right? And it's not just us doing this work either. Like, there's Team Black Men White Coat, there's SNMA, there's Melanin, there are a whole bunch of organizations. It's not just us, and I think we mm-hmm. gotta highlight that, because mm-hmm. I think sometimes there are comments like, "Oh, y'all doing too much," or you know, whatever, and they don't understand that, like, it takes a lot. Like, it's not just gonna be one voice. You got to hit it from every angle possible. Mm-hmm. To where at the end of the day, what's the end goal? The end goal is to make an impact and change the lives of children, so that they don't keep on this, you know, school to prison pipeline, right? Like, we got to change that. Ava DuVernay did a great job of helping us to understand there is really a prison, you know, a school to prison pipeline, right? And how do we change that? We got to change what these kids can expect of their future. Mm-hmm. And so taking into account those responses is really more so about us controlling our reaction. Okay. And less about us paying attention to what those reactions are, what their reactions are. Because right now, the only reaction that matters is the one that people will view from our point. So, like, what do we do going forward, right? And so I think we've taken a lot of the negative energy and the positive energy and said, we're just going to make an impact. You know, less talk and more work. That's it. Like, I think that's our motto for 2020 is, no, we not waiting on a savior. We're going to do it ourselves. Yeah. You know, so that's kind of where we are. Yeah. Wow.
That's great, because I think a lot of times people, I think it's natural for human beings. We want to wait for somebody. We see heroes. We see people like Martin Luther King, or, you know, Malcolm X, and we have, like, all these great leaders we can look at and say, wow, these are giants and we're standing on their shoulders. But we don't realize that we have power within ourselves. Mm-hmm. We can be giants in our own way. We can be the next ones that the kids behind us, the generations behind us, are standing on our shoulders. And, you know, if we don't have that courage, because we have the skill set, God has gifted us with all different talents, and, you know, we understand that we have that intellectually, but sometimes we don't understand that within our hearts, and just living that out and courageously. Because, like, again, you can have all the knowledge, you can have all the skills, but if you don't have the courage, it means nothing.
It's bravery over fear.
It's a waste.
It's really about bravery over fear. I think it was Dr. Uche Blackstock, who is the former director of the NYU School of Medicine Office of Diversity Affairs. And I remember this post she posted on Twitter, where she said, "Today I choose bravery over fear." Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times people have fear of what other people will think. Yeah. And so that fear forces them to divert away from doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. And I think we've kind of made the choice that we're just going to do the right thing. Yeah. That may come at a cost for some people who, you know, we thought were close friends or whatever, and we can survive with that. What we can't survive with is our legacy being, we chose not to utilize our platform to do something. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where we are.
Yeah, you only get one life, you get one chance.
Yeah, and also Martin Luther King, everybody didn't support Martin Luther King.
No.
Yeah, when are people not going to talk? Like, that's my thing. Like, I guess that's my thing, is, like, when are people not going to talk? And, like, I promise you, if I came outside wearing mismatched socks, someone is going to say something. Yeah. So it's like, at this point, if I'm doing the right thing, you saying something isn't going to direct you from the path of doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing I think people need to realize. And once you internalize that, moving forward and actually taking those courageous stands and saying, I'm a giant, I can be a giant, is when you let go of all of that. And I think, we live in the age of social media, and we live in the age of everyone portrays themselves as being perfect online and X, Y, and Z. So it's harder. That's harder for a lot of people, and I understand that completely, because that's something that I battle with myself. Just imposter syndrome and things of that nature. But once you let that go, it's so liberating.
It is.
And I would say this process has taught me a lot about letting that go.
Wow.
And you can reach the stars if you want to. Like, that's not even like being corny or anything.
Yeah,
like,
that's real.
Like,
that is real. No, I feel that, because because there's no way that you guys would have predicted all of these things would have happened. All these, it's like a domino effect. Like, you got all these different news stations, trying to get interviews, or just like, you got me coming here for a podcast show or whatever like that. So just like, you have to take the first step, and then it'll work out after that, because just like sometimes, it's really that fear of overcoming that first step that it takes to get everything else, the momentum going. Because sometimes people are just sitting back like, I'm so focused on how, I'm so focused on what, but as long as you know the why, then the how, the what, it's all gonna get figured out.
Absolutely.
So, man.
Yeah. I mean, we have some great mentors. We have Miss Horn, soon to be Dr. Vanetta Horn, who's been mentoring us since day one. We have Dr. Maybank, who is one of the vice presidents at the American Medical Association. Dr. Jeffrey Young over at the AAMC. We've had our share of people. Dr. Eric Jones, who's a stalwart here in New Orleans. We've had our share of people who have come to our rescue and said, one, we're going to protect you.
Yeah.
Because we know that a lot of people will come at you. And two, we're going to help you navigate this. We essentially have a team of Harriet Tubmans who are navigating us past what we have no clue how to navigate right now. And that's not just for me and Sydney. That's for the 15 white codes and everyone else who's a part of what we're doing. We have a team of people who are literally navigating us. And I think I would be remiss without telling this very short story. So last night we went to Mr. Edgar Poiret's house. And Edgar Poiret is by far and large one of the historic figures in New Orleans, like big time, because of what he's been able to do and in this community and what he's meant to New Orleans. And he invited us to his house. He's 83 years old. And he invited us to his family house, which is on Bienville. And there are very few black-owned houses like that one on Bienville in New Orleans. Yeah. And we were there, and he told us, like, you all are the new trailblazers. And I will be here, and my family will be here as long as you need us, as available as you need us, to make sure that you all get to the finish line and hand the baton off to someone else. And I think we wouldn't have been able to make it to this point had we not had those people around. Because Dave sort of loved on us and said, like, nah, we gonna support you, we gonna believe in you. There's this guy named Dr. Jevy up in Minnesota, Dr. Punch. There are like so many different people who have said, like, we gonna take care of you, like, we gonna be there, put our hands on you, and make sure you okay. And we wouldn't have made it. Like, this has been tough. We're in med school, like, it's been tough.
I can't even imagine.
Been like, all right, I'll call Sydney, like, all right, Sydney, we got 2 minutes, and these people on the phone call, like, come on, let's knock this out. And then we got an exam the next morning. So it's been hectic, but it's been worthwhile, because we recently spoke to some high school students at Dickie Chase, and those kids were like y'all are our new heroes. And they from New Orleans, but they could put our hands, they could put their hands on us. And that's a why, right? Like, that's really a why. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah, does it make us stressed out? I'm pretty sure. I'm in med school with 2 kids and a wife. I'm sure I got a lot on my plate.
Wow.
Sydney, both of us are super busy, but we getting the job done. And I think who, if not us, then who?
Yeah, that's the question. That's the right question to ask.
The BBC reports a U.S. workers' online study said that nearly 70% agree public speaking skills are critical for success at work. Maybe you are a student looking to become a prime candidate for that internship, or might I say full-time position. Or maybe you've already been in the job market for some time now, and you just want to stand out amongst your coworkers looking to get that raise you feel like you've been passed up for too long now. Go to speakyourlife.com/private-lessons. That's speakyourlife.com/private-lessons. Again, that's speakyourlife.com/private-lessons. To become a better communicator tomorrow by signing up today.
You know, it's interesting to point out how, Russell, you and the other gentlemen are the only two black males in the picture, because I remember reading from the Association of American Medical Colleges how the black male population in 1978 was about 542 black male students, and the number it has been steadily decreasing over the years. In 2014, it was about like 515. So there seems to be this domino effect, and it's just like, man, like, why do you think that? Because like, when I say the domino effect, what I mean by that is like how there's less black men doctors, but there seems to be this connection to, there's this statistic that says that black men are they have the lowest life expectancy in the U.S. out of any group, and on average 6 years we are expected to live less than the average person in America. So do you see, like, I guess that domino effect, and like how do you think that, you know, those are connected in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny because last night Sydney pointed out that, you know, one of her family members doesn't necessarily like to go to the doctor. And it just so happened to be a black male. And I think I could, like, I have cousins and, you know, and uncles who say the same thing, you know, barbers who are like, yo, like, going to the doctors is not it. And I think that's part of it, is the mistrust aspect. Because of some of the historical, you know, things that have happened. Like, you know, we have our share of issues with the history behind, you know, medicine in the U.S. and people of color, right? Like that's a thing that we have to reconcile. But I think another part of it is too is that, which I would personally say, Team Black Men White Code have done probably the most outstanding job thus far in terms of trying to address this. Is that part of it is that young black men don't see black men of color in white coats, and I think that's what Team Black Men in White Coat is trying to address, is that you gotta see something in order to be, like, you gotta put your eyes on it. Like, it's like you don't have a shortage of people wanting to be LeBron, because everywhere you look, like, you can see LeBron, like, and there's that, like, that's amazing. We should want, like, you know, people who are interested in basketball should want to be like LeBron. LeBron is probably the greatest basketball player we've ever seen in the history of the NBA. But we gotta have that same feature of black men in white coats, black men as lawyers, black men as firefighters, black men as accountants, black men as podcast hosts, black men as, you know, every, you know, it's like, it can't be just black men in jumpsuits on the news. That can't be it. Like, that can't be the main feature of the news. Black men, you know, black men murder somebody. Black men like, come on, black men are not heinous animals. You know, we are brilliant kings. Like, that's who we are. And we got to highlight that. That got to be on the walls of schools. That got to be on the walls of the classroom. That got to be in the books. That has to be in their bedrooms. That has to be on their TV, right? Like, that's why people like Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey have an own, and, you know, the Denzel Washingtons, you know, behind fences and things of that nature are so critical, because, like, without that, then, like, what are we to look to? We're not going to all be world-class athletes. As a matter of fact, the majority of us won't be world-class athletes, right? And we have to understand, like, we got to figure out a way to help these kids understand where they fit into society early. Like, not, oh, when you get to high school, let's start focusing in on college. No, you got to be thinking, I'm going to college when I'm in elementary school. Like, that's an intention long before it actually happens. You know, so that's part of what our mission is in terms of reimagining, you know, cultural imagery and putting this 15 white coats photo in classrooms. It's just really telling kids, like, when you look on the wall, you know, and we'll have a conversation around what we're doing means, you know, and what the history behind it is, and you know, why that was so important. But they gotta see it. Like, they have to see it. You know, I think kids have to visually see what they want to be. My daughter's a tennis player, and she always watches Serena. She watches Serena incessantly. Whether it's on YouTube, she'll watch, you know, matches from way back in the late 90s, because she believes, like, if I see it, then I can go in the court and mimic it, and hopefully one day I can be that person. You know, so I think we have to understand that that's where we are. These kids got to see it. They have to.
That's right.
Even just that, I think the stigma behind being smart has to change.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That being the nerd is not cool, or you can't kick it if you're smart or whatever. I think, and that just brings back to the importance of HBCUs, because, like, what? That's not even true. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just telling you, the coolest person who was in the center of in the circle at all the parties was also the person that I was looking to, like, hey, can you help me with this organic chemistry test? You know what I mean? And I also think that when we allow ourselves to be touchable, and we allow ourselves to be mentors, and we allow ourselves to interact with these people, they can see that too. You know what I mean? I can be like, look, I love school. I'm good at school, but I bet that the next Megan Thee Stallion verse that comes out, I bet you I can rap it just as good as you. You know what I mean? So, like, just changing the stigma around being black and being successful, changing the stigma around being black and being intelligent, changing the stigma around being black and being cool. Because let me tell you, if you black, you cool. All right? You are the leader when it comes to pop culture. You are the leader when it comes to things of that nature. So why can you not be the leader when it comes to academic excellence? Because you can. You know everything about yourself, and you know everything that you see on the media and on TV and stuff like that. You know that's a part of your culture. So why can't we integrate this into part of it? And it should be integrated, because there's a place for it. Absolutely. Amen
to that. And I heard that you guys had, like, this goal of, like, having 100,000 pictures placed in the schools. Is that still the goal, or has it increased?
I think for us now, that's the goal. 100,000 copies in 100,000 classrooms. And that's a short-term goal. I think the other short-term goals is for us to fund the application process, the medical school application process for some applicants of color. And the reason why we're doing that is because I think in general, people are unaware of how much it costs to apply to medical school. The average is around $3,500. So that's $3,500 you got to come up with to apply to medical school. Right? That's a lot of money.
It is.
And that's not, and not every family just has that to give. And we have to be a conduit to help with that. That's part of the bottleneck, right? You want to have more disenfranchised people in medical school, you have to financially help them. Like, because otherwise, like, the money isn't going to come out of thin air. And we know that money is a huge limiting factor. It's a huge limiting factor to resources to prepare for the MCAT. It's a limiting factor in terms of being prepared for interviews, in terms of, you know, having a suit, or you know, or just getting there, like a flight, a hotel, an Uber, right? Like paying an application fee for places that won't waive it. You know, I think we have to figure out a way to help people to understand that it's not just really being really brilliant. People have to have means. They literally have to have means to get there. And it's not going to happen out of thin air. It's just not. I mean, there are programs right now, like the fee assistance program through the AAMC, that are helping some people, but that's not going to be the end all be all for us. Like, we have to do more. That takes more donors. For us to utilize, you know, those means to redistribute them to people who genuinely need them. If the real goal is we need to increase diversity in medicine, then the first thing you have to do is that you have to help people literally apply to medical school. Like, for some people, it's like I'm not even like, you know, I'm either I'm not financially there, or I legitimately don't have the resources to prepare for it. And so that kind of falls on us right now, right? And then the last thing is, I think cultural literacy is something that we sometimes like, undervalue or or underappreciate. And I say that because I look at the conversations that my daughter and I have all the time, and she does read a lot of books about young black girls who are successful and things of that nature. And I think the conversations we have are really stimulated in her in terms of what she thinks she can be when she grow up, around this imaginative process that happens because she's being exposed to this literature that fits her life. The words are framed in a way that she's like, oh yeah, I remember that, or that fits my lifestyle. So I think we have to have inspiration in the classrooms that comes from the photos and the conversation. We have to help these students to get into medical school, and then we have to take into consideration the cultural literacy these children are being exposed to.
I agree. Wow, it's a lot to unpack here, and it's just like, man, we could go on for days and days, and I love what you guys are doing. I love what you guys are standing for. You stood in front of the Whitney Plantation House, and so the Speak Your Life podcast, we talk a lot about looking at life like a house, and we use that as a metaphor. Your life is a house, and you can place your house on many things, many different kinds of foundation. You can put it on sand, or you can put it on a rock, something that's solid, something that's firm. What do you feel like your individually, Sydney and Russell, what do you feel like your house stands on? Your life, what does it stand on? What's one thing, like a value, something that you appreciate that your house stands on?
Quite honestly, I've been so blessed to be a part of a family, both on my mom and dad's side, of trailblazers when it comes to civil rights activism, and just being strong in faith, strong in your message, strong in your point, strong in your family. So when I say my house is literally built on the backs of my grandparents on both sides, my aunts and uncles. I believe I told you my dad was a baby of 14.
Yeah, man, big family, yeah.
Huge family. And then my mother's dad, they're from a very small town in Batesville, Mississippi, where he was one of the first black principals.
Really?
Of the schools there. There's a big building with his name on it and things like that. And quite literally, like, I remember going through college and just saying that it was so hard, it was so tough. And he was like, well, Sid, when I went to college, they were calling me names and throwing things at me because I was a black man in a white space. And he was like, so if I could get through that and I could handle that, then you can get through whatever struggle you're going through right now. So when I quite honestly say that my house is built on that foundation, on the foundation of my other grandfather being a black business owner in Mississippi, and providing for his children, his vast family, and just instilling in us such strong values, and strong values that adversity will not break you. Yeah. And we went to Mr. Poirier's house last night, and I heard a quote that I'm really going to take with me forever, is that you're going to get tired of pushing me down more than I get tired of getting up.
I love it.
And that's just like, period. You know what I mean? And so my house is ultimately built on the backs of those who came before me, and hopefully I can make that foundation even stronger and continue it for my children one day, and my grandchildren, and just keep that legacy going, because I'm so proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, maybe it's not gonna be 14, but
no, absolutely not. Me and my cousins joke all the time about that. They're like, okay, who's gonna be the next Loretta? Not me. Nose goes. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be me.
She's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
But that's funny. So Russell, how would you answer that question?
I think for me, my foundation is built on my faith. And by my faith, I mean I think my faith in God. Yeah. And I think also my faith in the future. I think the future is bright. Yeah. Because I think kids who look like I did when I was a kid will be so much more well equipped. And so they'll be able to make progress for humankind that I wish had happened during my time, wish had happened during my mama's time, my grandmother's time, but it was their time. Yeah. And so that faith in God and faith in the future are two things that I can set my hat on and say, I'll go to my grave knowing that, even after I'm long gone, these things will be able to carry on. And that's really all you can ask for, right? Like, you only have the dash, right? Like, you got a start date and a finish date. And all you can hope for is that you make a contribution, and I always hope that, that I'm pleasing in God's sight. And I think also, that I'm making a difference, that, my kids can tell their kids that my daddy wasn't no chump. And he stood up for what was right. Yeah. And he never backed down. He went unafraid. Yeah. I think not going into a shell and being afraid is, is it. My mama used to always tell me, don't try, just do like Nike. Just do it. And so I think at this point we're gonna stop saying, we're trying to make a difference. No, we are making a difference. Definitely. And we will continue to make a difference. Yeah. Yeah, when you just say, I'll just try, it's like almost like you're halfway doing. You're not like really putting your whole 100% effort into it. So like, that's right. Your mom was right. You gotta just do it. Yeah. Just do it as you guys are doing. So, anyways, we've now ended that segment of the podcast. Now we're entering what we call question of the day, where we just have a random off the cuff question. And so the question is, if you were not aspiring doctors, what would you be and why?
I think I already told it myself. To answer that question, I always had an interest in being multilingual and working at a USMC somewhere. But quite honestly, I think that throughout my medical career, I'm going to get back into things like politics, and I'm going to get back into things like that, because there are just not enough doctors on the floor making laws about healthcare. And that's really important for me, that I be a voice and I be an advocate for that. So whereas I think on top of, I see the longevity and I see the trajectory of 15 white coats and managing that in the future, and medicine is not the only stop for me. So I'm eventually going to get into politics, because they need somebody a little rowdy like myself to go shake up the floor a little bit. That's and right. I'm excited to look forward to that. I'm never going to make myself small. So and that's one thing I want people to take from this too, is don't make yourself small. So I'm going to take myself and my big voice and my big hair, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna shake some things up. So
in all different languages too.
In all different languages.
Yeah. Which ones do you speak?
So as of right now, Spanish is like, I'm still like working my way through Spanish. My dad is always upset with me, because he's just like, I don't know why, because we come from a big Creole family. He's like, I don't know why you want to learn how to speak Spanish, and you're trying to learn how to speak Spanish, because you need to learn how to speak French and X, Y, and Z. And I'm just like, okay, daddy, baby steps. You know what I mean? We're gonna do one at a time. My cousin's actually she's super multilingual. She speaks French, Spanish, Farsi. Wow. And I think she's working on Japanese right now. So I'm just like, whenever you speak to me and whatever you want me in, and we're going to work it out. But she's the bomb. So I'm working out anything that I can do right now. But I'm excited about the future.
Yeah. Man, that's great. That's great. So what about you, Russell?
I think if I weren't an aspiring doctor, I will one day be a politician.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think right now...
Congress, Senate, President. Maybe what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
I think we thinking
presidency.
I think we thinking presidency.
There we go.
He's giving it a shot. I think in the short term, being an aspiring physician scientist is on the table and making a difference. At least for me in child and adolescent psychiatry. But I think at some point we got to make some changes, because there's no reason for, and I'm from Louisiana. There's no reason for me to feel like the educational system for K through 12 hasn't budged very much from when it did when I was in school here. Yeah, that leaves me with a knot in my stomach every day. And Louisiana being between 48 to 50 in terms of ranking for education for eons is not going to sit well unless I personally do something about it. Yeah. So I think that's kind of, that's the other thing that I could be doing with my life that I'm not doing right now. Okay. Right now.
Yeah. There's a lot of things we all could be doing, but that's good that you're focused on one thing at a time. So, Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us on today's episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, and whether you're on Spotify, Google Play Music, and if you're on Apple Podcasts, be sure to also leave a review if you've connected with today's message. And remember to follow us on Instagram at Speak Your Life at Speak Your LYFE, because life without your why is meaningless. Thank you, Sydney and Russell, for joining us on today's episode. We really appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you so much, man. This was meaningful.
Yeah.
This was impactful. Ooh,
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We appreciate your interest in the story, for real. And I think that's part of the reason why things have been blowing up like they have, because so many people like yourself have been interested in helping our mission, and we really, really appreciate it. We can't say thank you enough.
Yeah, and speaking of the mission, you can follow them at the 15 Whitecoats. That's the, and that's 15whitecoats.org, and you can support, can leave any feedback, and just contact them, and just again support them there at that website and reach out to them. Thank you guys so much. Love you guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.